Hey everyone, it's Lee with Mantis Mechanics, and today I'm going to dispel a myth about Chinese martial arts, and that is that you should not strength train. So let's stay tuned. I'm going to give you 2 reasons why you should strength train if you're doing Chinese martial arts. Okay, so somewhere along the line, this myth was perpetuated that strength training was bad for your martial arts, that if you lifted weights or did any type of strength training like that it would slow you down, make you inflexible, and you would lose out on the looseness and the mobility that you needed in order to practice Chinese martial arts, and that you shouldn't do any lifting weights at any cost because it was going to make you worse. And today I got 2 reasons why that's not true, and I'm going to tell you a personal story about me. So the first reason to strength train is because strength training is going to make good techniques even better. So let's take the example, you got 2 people. Both of them are practicing their sidekick. Both of their sidekicks, they've been practicing for a while. They both have very good technique, almost perfect technique. I'm not going to say I don't know what a perfect sidekick looks like, but if you were to look at these 2 people's sidekicks, you would say that's pretty near perfect. You have these 2 martial artists that have this perfect sidekick or this near perfect sidekick, but one of them strength trains, the other one doesn't. So with the good technique plus the strength training, it's going to make this sidekick more powerful and therefore better. Even though this guy's sidekick or this person's sidekick is not terrible and it may still work, this one's going to be better. So this is going to be especially true with grappling techniques, right? A lot of people say that strength doesn't matter in grappling, that you can use, the person's force against them. So they're pushing, you pull, they're pulling, you push, that sort of thing. You go with the flow. And yeah, we don't want to butt heads like this in Chinese martial arts, but there is a certain amount of resistance that's going to happen no matter what. And if you're stronger, you're going to be able to pull off that technique better. So the second reason that you should be doing strength training in your martial arts is that it's going to make your bad techniques better. So let's take that example of that sidekick. Let's say that my sidekick needs to be worked on. Right? Maybe I'm not turning my hips all the way over. Maybe I don't bring my leg up in the chamber just enough, or maybe I'm slightly off target, or that sort of thing. Now, if I'm not strength training, if I'm not strong, and I throw that kick, it might not be effective at all. It might have limited effectiveness. But if I'm strong, it actually may be the same. Like a strong person throwing a sidekick might be the same as someone who doesn't strength train but has really good technique. If I'm really strong and my technique, I'm not saying that I have no technique, but my technique, I could work on it. If I practice, I'll get it even better. But right now, I'm just not there for whatever reason. And remember that we practice martial arts for our self-defense. If we're using it in sport combat, I probably wouldn't use a technique that I'm not good at in a sport combat situation. I would use something like, me personally, I'm not throwing a tornado kick in a sports combat situation because my tornado kick, not that great. Okay, I can do one, but it's not that great. I don't have it dialed in. But if I have the strength of this strength and I kick and I'm really powerful, even if my kick isn't like perfect technique, it's going to be powerful enough to be effective. I learned this because one day we were sparring in class. This is when I was, a student, and I was a higher level student, and I had 2 guys that came in. They were both brothers. Their names were Todd and Ben. And Todd and Ben were power lifters. And I had a lot of trouble with them, even though my technique might have been a little bit better than theirs. I had a really hard time with their strength. A lot. Like, I remember the thing that really got me to start doing strength training was that I was going with Ben, and he went in for a takedown, and I was defending it properly, doing everything right. Everything right. I got the underhooks. I was cross-facing him. He still picked me up and slammed me. He picked me up off the ground and slammed me. So it was that I was like, man, I did everything right, but he was still able to throw me and win that confrontation or that instance or that battle. And it was upsetting to me. So I said, I need to get stronger. So I started lifting weights. And within 6 months, I wasn't having as much trouble with Todd and Ben, right? I was definitely not as strong as them. They were still, I mean, they had been strength training for years and they were big guys, but I wasn't having as much trouble in the sparring with them as when I first started. I was still had the technique, but they were stronger and they were pushing me around. So I got stronger, not as strong as them, but just because I got stronger, I was able to hang with these guys now. I was able to, even in some cases, throw them or get techniques on them. So that's what really sold me on strength training in the martial arts. And I don't believe I lost any speed. Yes, if you train the wrong way, you're going to lose speed. If you train the wrong way, you're going to lose mobility. But you need to know what kind of strength training you want to do for your goals. Now, traditionally in Chinese martial arts, they will say you should only do body weight exercises. The problem with this is you only get as strong as your body is heavy. If I weigh 175 pounds right now, light guy, if I do push-ups, I can do a lot of push-ups. I can do 100 in a row, right, without stopping. But if I go from 100 to 110 push-ups or 100 to 120 push-ups, it's not that I'm getting any stronger. I'm getting muscular endurance. And yeah, you need that too for martial arts, but the strength just isn't there. So there's things that I can do. Instead of doing push-ups, maybe I do something plyometric. I push my hands off the ground, push myself off the ground. That's more explosive. So that's going to be training more strength. Or maybe I raise my feet off the ground and get more resistance, but that's also going to start to target different muscles. So you want about 10 to 15 reps. Once you can do an exercise for 10 to 15 reps, if you can do 15 push-ups in a row, that's probably about as strong as you're going to get. Okay, you need to start adding resistance to that. Maybe you start doing plyo push-ups or clapping push-ups, right, where you jump off the ground. But once you get to 15 of those, now you're in a spot where, hey, I can do 15 in a row of those. I'm probably working on endurance more than anything. I'm not really getting any stronger by doing these. So I'm going to start using weights. And that's okay. That's good. Maybe you do push-ups, you just put a vest on. Maybe you put a weight on your back. Maybe you use bands. Maybe you start doing bench presses. Whatever you start doing, you're going to start getting stronger if you use weights. And this was done way back in the day, right? There's pictures of Chinese martial artists in their horse stance, right? Once they can do horse stance for 10 minutes, it's just endurance from then on out. You're not getting any stronger by doing a horse stance for 15 minutes versus 10 minutes. You're just getting more endurance. Well, they knew this. So you'll see a lot of pictures of people in horse stance where they've got logs on their legs, or there's people standing on their legs, or they got railroad ties on their legs, or they put bars on their hands. They'll put these rings on their hands that weigh a significant amount of weight. So they're actually getting stronger by doing this. So they may go, okay, I got a 10-minute horse stance. Then they put weights on their legs. They put those railroad ties on their legs. And maybe they can only go a minute now. And now they're going to work their way back up to that 10 minutes. And then maybe they add 2 railroad ties, whatever. You got to remember that in China before the Cultural Revolution, China was very poor. And so they just used what was available to them. So they didn't have Olympic bars. They didn't have kettlebells. They didn't have all these things. They used what they could find. And a lot of times they were just big rocks and wood. And you still see that in China today, where they'll have like a pole with just concrete blocks on the end and they're lifting it up. Or they have very heavy weapons made of iron that they carry and they swing around in certain patterns to get stronger. The point is that strength training has always been a big part of Chinese martial arts. I mentioned a movie the other day, Master Killer, where they have a common martial art exercise where they take barrels of water and they carry them like this down to the river. So at the beginning, You might just start off carrying empty buckets. And then as you got better and better, you would fill them up with more water, making them heavier. This is strength training. So strength training has always been an integral part of Chinese martial arts. So you need to do strength training if you want to be good at it. Let me know what you think of this in the comments below. Please like and subscribe for more, and we'll see you next time here on Mantis Mechanics.